Hi, everyone. Tony Costa here from Toronto Apologetics. So glad that you could join us. I'd like to encourage you, if you've not done so already, to subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. And also to like the video and to share the video with others as well. Well, this is a video that I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and I already put out a video, a couple of them, I believe, on Charlie Kirk, and pushing back against claims that Charlie Kirk was converting to the Roman Catholic Church and that his wife was going in that direction as well. And so I dealt with those claims and dismissed those claims with the evidence that we have from Charlie Kirk himself. But there's been another rumor that has been going around and was going around for a while, but seemed to have uh, climaxed quite a bit after his death on September 10th of 2025, and that is the claim that Charlie Kirk was a Sabbath keeper, and that this claim was being used by particularly Sabbatarian groups like the Seventh Day Adventists and others. Seventh Day Adventists were claiming that he was one of them and that he was also keeping the Sabbath from Friday night to Saturday night, and that he was a Seventh Day keeper, a Sabbath keeper, just like the Seventh Day Adventists. And of course, there's a bit of a disingenuous take here by Seventh Day Adventists and other groups, Sabbatarian groups. I mean, even some of the Seventh Day Adventist prominent apologists, people like Doug Batchelor, were saying that we will see Charlie Kirk in heaven because he was a Sabbath keeper. It's disingenuous because Charlie Kirk was not a Seventh Day Adventist. He may have kept a Seventh Day Sabbath, but that doesn't make him a Seventh Day Adventist. And he certainly didn't believe in any of the false doctrines that Seventh Day Adventism holds to, and that's why Seventh Day Adventism has been relegated to cult status. Charlie Kirk did not believe that Ellen White was a prophetess. He didn't believe in the unbiblical false doctrine of the investigative judgment that allegedly occurred in 1844, October of 1844, and he certainly didn't believe in Ellen White's writings that they are on par with Holy Scripture and that she was an inspired writer and that she was in the same category as the prophets of the Bible. He didn't believe any of that nonsense. And so for them to want to claim him as their own is sometimes it isn't disingenuous. It's quite silly at its root level. And of course, we can talk about my goodness, people who were actually Seventh Day Adventists and left, like David Koresh, for example, the founder of the Branch Davidians, and he came out of the Seventh Day Adventist Church and started the Branch Davidians, of course, in Waco, Texas, and a very dangerous cult. And of course, unfortunately, um, they ended up all dying, including David Koresh, at their commune in Waco, Texas, when federal agents came to arrest him for sexual abuse, among many other things. And so when we talk about Charlie Kirk, and particularly on this question of the Sabbath, I want to clear the dust and just give a fair assessment of where Charlie Kirk actually stood when it came to the question of the Sabbath. And one of the things I wanted to mention is that Charlie Kirk had mentioned before he had passed away, he did mention that he was writing a book, and and the book had to do with the Sabbath itself. And so I just wanted to bring this up just so that we can uh, see uh, where he stands and some of the things that he said in terms of the Sabbath. And so let me just share that with you, and I will make some remarks as we look at his uh, forthcoming book. And so the book is right here, and it's going to be released on December the 9th, 2025. And so it is coming out soon, and I believe it's on pre-order. If you look at the right-hand side there, it's on a pre-order now. And as you can see on the left, you see the picture of the book there. Let me just enlarge this a bit. Um, and it's called Stop in the Name of God: Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. And so, in terms of a description of the book, it says, Stop in the Name of God: Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life will help you discover how observing the Sabbath isn't a rejection of modern life, but a rebellion against busyness and a pathway to genuine connection, peace, and presence. Though, through Stop in the Name of God, best-selling author Charlie Kirk guides you on how to unplug, recharge, and reconnect with God, family, and yourself in a way that nurtures your soul. In a world dominated by screens and constant noise, Stop in the Name of God presents the Sabbath as a radical act of resistance, packed with practical insights and spiritual wisdom. Charlie Kirk demonstrates how honoring the Sabbath restores balance, reduces anxiety, and nourishes your soul. It's not just a day of rest, it's a lifeline to reclaiming what truly matters. And so, as you can see here, Charlie Kirk does mention, and there are various videos of Charlie Kirk online where he talks about his observance of the Seventh Day Sabbath. And I think that a pastor friend apparently had told him about the importance of taking a Sabbath, and I'm sure Dennis Prager, being a Jew, probably talked about the Sabbath and the importance of rest and so on. And perhaps Charlie Kirk also had some influence from Dennis Prager. So, for the record, Charlie Kirk claimed that he kept the Seventh Day Sabbath, um, the biblical Sabbath that is mentioned in the Ten Commandments, and that is from Friday night to Saturday night. And I don't have time to go into all the issues here, but Charlie Kirk was not a theologian. He was not a biblical scholar. He was a very bright Christian, to be sure. But the Sabbath has always been understood, at least from a New Covenant perspective and the perspective of the church. The Seventh day Sabbath is believed to have been a day designated to the people of Israel. It was not given to Adam and Eve and to Noah and to Enoch and to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Genesis 2 says that God rested on the seventh day and that he blessed the seventh day and he hallowed it. But notice it says that God rested. It doesn't say man rested. God rested. He finished his creative work. And the Sabbath was given and revealed to Israel in Exodus 16. He had to teach them, God had to teach Israel his Sabbath by telling them not to pick up the manna on the seventh day. And why would he have to reveal something to them if they had always known it? Well, obviously they didn't. He taught his Sabbath to them. Now, I don't have time to go into all the theology, the relationship between the New Covenant and the Old Covenant. I've done that elsewhere in a number of my videos. I'm going to put a link in the description box to an article I wrote on the Sabbath and its relation to the New Covenant, and I'll also have um, a video, some of my videos where I deal with the Sabbath and why the Seventh Day Sabbath is not binding on New Testament, New Covenant believers. Now, having said all that, we also want to point out that Charlie Kirk never made the observance of the Seventh Day Sabbath a legalistic issue. He makes that very clear. Where in fact, we're going to hear one of his radio shows where he clearly says that he doesn't want to make it a legalistic issue. He's not saying that you have to keep it to be saved. He's not saying that if you're a Christian, you must keep the Seventh Day Sabbath. And this is where he departs from Seventh Day Adventists and so forth, and many Sabbatarian groups. Um, and of course, Seventh Day Adventists are not even consistent in how they keep the Sabbath because they will do things that they think are part of rest, but are not. Some may even go out for dinner on Saturday. But remember, if you go out for dinner on Saturday, um, there are people working so that you can enjoy your meal. So there are people breaking the Sabbath so that you can have a warm meal served at your table. And so there's a lot of inconsistencies. It's very much like the Pharisees about what you cannot and do, what you can do, what you cannot do, and so on. So let me just state that from the perspective of the New Testament, uh, Charlie Kirk is free, completely free, if he wishes to observe the seventh day Sabbath from Friday night to Saturday night. In fact, he's given that liberty in the New Testament. In Romans 14:5-6, Paul makes it very clear that some people regard every day alike, that's me, and some regard one day holier than another, like Seventh Day Adventists, and even Sunday, those who keep or observe the Lord's Day as a Sabbath. Even though Sunday is not the Sabbath, it is the Lord's Day. Some Christians will keep that as a rest day, and that they're free to do that as well under the new covenant. So in Romans 14, verses 5-6, Paul makes it very clear that to some folks, every day is alike. To others, one day is holier than another. And let everyone be convinced in their own mind. And then he says, whoever regards the day regards it to the Lord. And so notice the apostle Paul does not mention what day. He doesn't say it's Sunday, doesn't say it's Saturday. He says whoever regards the day, any day that is regarded to the Lord is holy because you are committing it, you're regarding it to the Lord, towards the Lord. And so under the new covenant, Charlie is completely within his rights to keep the seventh day Sabbath. He doesn't make it an issue of legalism. He doesn't pass judgment. And that's what Paul says in Romans 14, not to pass judgment on disputable matters. Don't pass judgment on what days you keep. Don't pass judgment on the foods you eat, whether it's clean or unclean, or pork or beef or chicken, whatever it is. He says these are disputable matters and we're not to divide over these issues. That's the new covenant. Those things do not affect us under the new covenant. And so he is completely at liberty. And I know other Christians personally, some of them have left Seventh day Adventism, so former Seventh day Adventists who've left and are now trusting Christ alone for their salvation. Some of them continue to keep the Sabbath, but they don't enforce it on others, they don't push it on others. It's not an issue of judgment. And so there's nothing wrong at all from a biblical perspective if Charlie Kirk keeps that. Now, the other thing we need to understand is that on Friday night, he would turn off all his communication. He would turn off his phones and so forth. That's something that many Jews do. Orthodox Jews will do that, but they go further than that. Orthodox Jews will turn off their social media, but they also don't drive. They walk to the synagogue on Sabbath, on Shabbat. They don't walk. Drive cars. They don't start up cars because to turn on power or electricity is considered work. And I can guarantee you there's a lot of Seventh Adventists who drive their cars to church on Saturday, even though it's considered work. And there are many who will start the oven and light the fire when uh, the book of Exodus is very clear that you're not to kindle a fire on the Sabbath day. Now, in terms of Charlie Kirk, the other interesting thing that we also want to bear in mind is the fact that the church that he attended, the church that Charlie Kirk attended, was not a Sabbatarian church. The church that he attended was not a Seventh day keeping church, a Seventh day Sabbath keeping church. And if you do some homework in this area, what you'll find, um, excuse me, I just got the wrong one there. Just trying to get the right link here. The church that Charlie Kirk actually attended was Dream City Church, as you can see up here on the left corner there. And this was the church that Charlie Kirk attended. There's a number of these churches throughout the United States, and the ones that he attended was clearly the one in Arizona. And so you can see here the Dream City Church is found in Nebraska, Oklahoma, California, and Arizona. And so Charlie attended, I believe it's the Glendale, Arizona church. Now, this church, Dream City Church, if you notice, he not only attended there, that is Charlie Kirk, not only did he attend there, this is his pastor, Luke, and his wife, Angel Barnett. That's the pastor of the church. And if you notice, in terms of its locations, in Arizona, which and also in California, in Nebraska, in Oklahoma, you'll notice what days do they gather for worship? Sunday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. In McAlester, Oklahoma, Sunday, 9:45. In Scottsdale, Arizona, um, Sunday, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. In Omaha, Nebraska, Sunday, 9 and 11. Wednesdays are Bible study and prayer. Um, Glendale, Arizona, Sunday, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. In Whittier, I believe it's pronounced, California, Sunday, 9 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 12 p.m. In Show Low, Arizona, Sunday. Long Beach, California, Sunday. Short Creek, Arizona, Sunday. San Carlos, Arizona, Sunday. You notice something here, folks? Yeah, Charlie Kirk's church observed Sunday, the Lord's Day, as a time to come together and to worship. And so, as you can see here, um, his home church worshiped on Sunday. He didn't worship on Saturday. He took time to rest and disconnect from the world and social media, but he worshiped with his church on Sunday, as you can see here in their various locations. And so, Seventh day Adventists want to be consistent since Charlie Kirk worshiped on Sunday. Ellen White taught that when the time of testing comes, those who keep Sunday are the ones who have the mark of the beast. And so that is his church there. And you can simply you can just do a chat GPT question. What church did Charlie Kirk attend? He attended Dream City Church. And so, as you can see, folks, it's obvious that his Sabbath keeping clearly was selective. What I mean by selective is there are in his schedule there were days that he did work on Saturday, that he did work on Sabbath. So, for example, just a week or so before Charlie was assassinated or martyred, killed on September 10th of 2025. Um, on He was in South Korea on Saturday, September the 6th. He was there and he was doing a talk there with other speakers in South Korea, and it was on a Saturday, so he had to work. And presenting and talking involves preparation and um, standing in front of people, and engaging them, and talking. That takes energy, and so in that particular case, Charlie worked. He worked on the Sabbath on Saturday, September the 6th. And then, of course, earlier in the summer of this year, in July 25th, 25, if you look at the calendar, July 25th, 2025, he spoke in Westchester, New York, and the conference there was from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. When does the Sabbath begin? Well, um, any Jew will tell you, any Seventh day Adventist will tell you that the Sabbath begins at Friday sunset, when the sun sets on Friday, Friday sundown until Saturday sundown. And so Charlie um, spoke on that Friday night. Um, of course, in July, the days are longer, but um, uh, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., you are basically you are engaging in a conference that goes into the night, into sundown. And so Friday sundown is the beginning of the Sabbath. And so to work on Friday night is to violate the Sabbath, because that's the beginning of the Sabbath from sundown to sundown. And so what does that mean? Well, there were times when Charlie had to work on Sabbath, whether it's a Saturday or a Friday night, as we see in his talk in Westchester, New York on the 25th of July, 2025. And of course, that's no problem. That's no issue. We're not under the Sabbath commandment. The Sabbath law was part of the Mosaic covenant, just like all the covenants had a sign. Abrahamic covenant had circumcision, and the covenant with Noah had the rainbow. And so the Mosaic covenant had the Sabbath. That was the sign of the Mosaic covenant. And if the Mosaic covenant has ended in Christ, which it did at the cross, well, then the sign also ends. And that's why, again, The New Testament, while it repeats 9 of the Ten Commandments, it repeats it and enforces it. It never mentions, it never repeats the fourth commandment. That is the commandment about the Sabbath. Now, what I want to do then is, instead of putting words uh, into Charlie's mouth, what I want to do at this point, excuse me, what I want to do at this point is I want to let Charlie speak for himself, and so we're going to listen to a podcast in which Charlie is sharing. He discusses the issue of the Sabbath, and this is the website, the Charlie Kirk Show. And what you'll notice here is that this is from August 28th, 2023, as you can see here, Monday, August 28th, 2023, so 2 years ago. And I'm just going to increase the font here a bit just so you can see it. And what he does in this particular segment of the Charlie Kirk Show is he addresses a number of questions. We're not going to dwell on the other issues that he raises, but we want to address the question: why does Charlie observe Shabbat on Saturday despite not being Jewish? So we kind of discussed already the reasons for that, but let's listen then. Let's take a listen to what Charlie says here, and then I'll just stop when necessary to make any comments. So let's listen in.
Hey everybody, happy Monday. Ask Me Anything up. Catch something in the RNC rules. We review it in real time. We talk about why I honor the Shabbat. I think you'll love it at the end of the episode. It could bless your life. Consider it. Maybe it's for you, maybe not. Also,
Did you catch that? Maybe it's for you, maybe not. Now, does that sound like someone who is affirming that the Sabbath must be kept, that you need to keep the seventh day Sabbath, or else you're not a Christian, or you got the mark of the beast, as Ellen White would teach of the Seventh Day Adventists? He doesn't say that. I'm going to repeat this again because I think it's worth repeating. Let me play that again. It's important. Let's listen to it again.
hey everybody, happy Monday. Ask Me Anything episode. Did we catch something in the RNC rules? We review it in real time. We talk about why I honor the Shabbat. I think you'll love it at the end of the episode. It could bless your life. Consider it. Maybe it's for you, maybe not. Also,
So there you go. So maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. That is New Testament teaching right there. It's not it's not something we should pass judgment on each other, according to, again, Romans chapter 14, verses 5 to 6. In fact, you may want to read Romans 14, verses 1 to 6, where Paul talks about the disputable matters. So what I'm going to do, folks, is again bring this up to speed here to the segment where he addresses the issue of the Sabbath, and then what I'll do is I'll just pause it and make any necessary remarks. And so let me just bring this up to the segment that where he does address the issue of the Sabbath, and then I will make some necessary remarks. So let me just bring that up again, and we should be good to go.
today. You know, I get a lot of questions about that. They say, Charlie, why do you talk about Shabbat so much? You're a Christian. And I say, look, first of all, if you believe Jesus is Lord, then you believe in the creation and the promises of God are complete through the entire Bible. But I'm not going to get too theological. If you rest for...
If you heard what he said there, he's not going to get too theological. That's one thing I like about Charlie, is that he knew his limits. He wouldn't presume to know something that he didn't know. And as I said earlier, he's not a theologian, and we need to understand that there's a place there's a huge place here for theology and the way the Bible views these things. And so he's not delving into that particular area. He's dealing more with the practical aspects of the Sabbath, and how it has helped him and his family, because he was literally burning out, and someone suggested that he start giving the Sabbath a try because it will give them time to rest.
24 hours. You will be blessed. And if you decide not to, then that's fine.
If you decide not to, did you catch that? Then that's fine too. Again, he's not a legalist. He's not someone saying you have to keep it. If you don't keep the Seventh Day Sabbath, then you're lost. You're gone. That's not Charlie Kirk.
I know that my life before honoring the Sabbath and after honoring the Sabbath, they don't even compare. And some people say, well, Charlie, why Saturday instead of Sunday? That's a good question. And I don't want to be overly legalistic.
I don't want to be overly legalistic about it. He's right. That's exactly it. He's 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 right on target, and I agree with him 100%. He doesn't want to be overly legalistic. Why Saturday instead of Sunday? And he says, I'm not going to be legalistic about this.
About it, maybe Sunday's a better day for you to totally rest.
Let me take
But
it back a little bit here.
I love,
Let me just
I
take it back
love,
here.
for me personally, ending Friday after a long week and totally shutting off. And on Sunday, I'm already thinking about Monday. On Saturday, I can truly rest and I can truly stop. And so, whatever day works for you. For me, it's the old traditional Jewish Sabbath.
So whatever day works for you, there it is. He's not saying it's only the seventh day of the week. um, and whatever works for you. And notice how, interestingly enough, when the Seventh Day Adventists like Doug Batchelor claims Charlie as, oh, he's one of us, we're going to see him in heaven. One of the things that the Seventh Day Adventists literally is true, they hate with their soul, is calling the Sabbath the Jewish Sabbath, because they'll tell you it's not the Jewish Sabbath. It's the law of God. It's the command of God. Yes, it is the law of God. Absolutely, as is all the 613 commandments of the law of Moses. They are God's laws. It's not just the 10. You don't have 10 over here and then 603 that are not God's laws. The whole thing is God's law. That's the point. The law is a unit. It's not broken up into different laws. It's a unit. It has different aspects, but it's a unit. And so Charlie's very clear. He says, "Look, I'm keeping the Jewish Sabbath. I'm keeping the day that God gave to Israel, and I'm observing it, and it's been a blessing to me, and that's totally fine."
Might watch some college football. And that's the other thing. People say, well, Charlie, do you do any electronics? Well, the scriptures say, for 6 days you shall work, for 1 day you shall stop. So I do things I enjoy. I'm just no work. I don't check Citizen Free Press. I don't check my email. I don't check my text message. I don't check my social media. I don't do anything that involves work. But thou shalt exclude college football, because watching college football is the furthest thing from work for me. And I got to be very honest. I wage boycotts and wars against all the woke stuff. And everybody has some form of contradiction in their life. I think it's,
There you go. So, excuse me. He talks about some people have some form of contradiction. He likes watching college football on Saturday. Right? Now, there are some Sabbatarians, some Seventh Day Adventists that don't watch TV, that don't have their television sets up. I even remember in high school, there was one older gentleman who was a Christian who wouldn't watch television on Sundays. He would not turn any of that. Radio wouldn't be on. The television would not be on. He was treating Sunday like the Sabbath, even though Sunday is the Lord's day. Um, but again, and then I knew another pastor, a very strong Reformed 1689 Second London Baptist Confession. He wouldn't travel on. He would not take the train on 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 Sundays. Um, he had gone to another city outside of Toronto to speak at a church, and um, he would not return back to Toronto until Monday. He would not travel on the federal train line on Sunday. And so Charlie says that he loves watching college football on Saturday, but in order to enjoy college football, you need to watch football players work on the Sabbath. and so and so people are working so that you can enjoy the sport on the Sabbath. And again, if you've ever watched Chariots of Fire, you'll remember that the Christian fellow there, the Christian, the fellow who played the Christian runner, he would not run on Sundays. He says, I do not run on the Sabbath. He would not race on Sundays. And that becomes one of the points of tension in the movie Chariots of Fire. Um, but Charlie's being openly honest that he loves watching college football. But there won't be any football unless you have players, and those players are working, they're running, they're tackling each other. And so we end up enjoying something on our day of rest while other people are working on that day of rest. The reason why Charlie can say that is because, again, he's not a legalist. He's not a legalist. I always get a a chuckle out of people who treat Sunday like they treat it like the Sabbath. And again, I address this in my lectures on the Sabbath, and also on my article on the Sabbath with Southern Baptist Theological Journal. Um, I always get a chuckle at the fact that you'll find some very hardcore Sunday keepers, but um, after church they'll go for lunch at a restaurant where people have to work so they can eat. Again, sometimes people don't see the glaring contradiction there. But anyway, at least Charlie's being honest here.
Scott Fitzgerald or something. He said the mark of a deep thinker is someone who can hold two inconsistent beliefs simultaneously. Somebody said that. I think college is a scam, and I love college football.
There you go. Yeah, he loves college football, and if it plays on Saturday, he'll watch it.
Totally acknowledge it's one of the great contradictions in my life.
There you go, and that's why I love this man, this brother, because he was, excuse me, he was very, very honest.
I like bash against college. College is terrible. Stop sending your kids to college. College is awful. College is this. And then I plan my entire fall schedule basically around Saturday's college football. There are very few sports. I don't watch the NBA. I don't watch the MLB. I casually watch the NFL. Only a couple friends that I have in the league, people I've gotten to know. Jimmy Garoppolo, who I grew up with, and Kirk Cousins, and who's from Chicago. A couple people that I know in the league that I'll watch. That's it. Justin Herbert, who went to Oregon, who's amazing. I'm not friends with him, but he's incredible. But then college football is the one thing that I really take seriously. That is the one that I really take seriously. But look, here's the point. In this highly technological world, where we're all staring at screens, we're all overindulged in the news cycle, let me say this. You're missing out. You're missing out if you are not stopping for one day. In the book,
So not stopping for one day. Again, notice he acknowledges that, look, there's some people that will rest on Sundays. They'll take Sundays off. Most pastors that I know have Mondays off, um, because it's the only day of the week they can actually take a break. I know other pastors who take Saturdays off. And to be quite honest and frank with you, even though I'm Tony, I'll be frank with you, but I'm actually Tony, not Frank. Get it? Um, Saturdays for me are usually they're my days to recharge. It's not because I'm keeping the Sabbath. It's just because out of all the other days of the week, it's the only day I can actually catch a breath. It's the only day that I could catch up on my rest, and it's the only day that I can just basically be myself and get things ready for church on Sunday. And it's the time that I try to take as much leisure as I can, and that's because it's the only day I have available. Every other day I'm pretty well working, and also that's not to say that there are many Saturdays I have to work. There's many Saturdays that I have to speak at a conference or lecture, or even speak at a conference at a church. And so I get it. I get where Charlie's coming from. But again, notice again, he's very open about, even whatever day it is, taking one day off.
book of Deuteronomy, which means second law, Moses was giving his farewell address. And as Moses was giving his farewell address, he repeated the Ten Commandments, which were identical except the commandment that had to do with the Sabbath, the Shabbat. And when it was repeated in Deuteronomy, he said, "For 6 days you shall work, and for one day you shall rest." because you are no longer slaves in Egypt. What Moses was saying in his farewell address is, why do you have the Sabbath? You have the Shabbat, you have the Sabbath because only slaves work for 7 days. You are not a slave to your work. And by the way, it's a two-pronged commandment. You should not be resting for 7 days a week. It's okay to take vacations. That's obvious. That's fine. But you should not be resting in your normal flow of work for more than 1 day. And I encourage you guys to have that in your schedule. Just the one little thing that you could look forward to and you plan, you say, that, I'm going to just shut it all off. It actually makes you work harder. It makes you think clearer. It makes you get what you want to get done before that. It's a finish line. It's a self-imposed deadline. And it's biblical. And it's freeing. And in this mad world we live of tyrants, despots, degenerates, and cockroaches, it's very freeing. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Email us as always, freedom@charliekirk.com. Thanks so much for listening, and God bless.
Okay, so there's Charlie Kirk's take on that. And of course, his points, as I said, are well taken. The idea of Deuteronomy 5, the Sabbath, is given so they could remember that they were once slaves and now they're free. And also in Exodus 20, the Sabbath commandment says to keep the Sabbath because it is a time to remember God's creative work. And so the Lord Jesus Christ in the New Testament in Matthew 11, 28 to 30, tells us who the real Sabbath is. The Sabbath points to the true Sabbath of God, which is Jesus Christ. He said, come unto me, all of you who are tired and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And the rest that Christ gives us is an eternal rest. It is not a rest that comes for 24 hours and then disappears and it's back to the grind. It's not fleeting like the Sabbath day is. It is permanent. And so the Sabbath, just like everything else in the Old Testament, the feast days and the tabernacle, the temple, everything, the Ark of the Covenant, everything points to Christ, who is the fulfillment of all these things. But again, the reason why I wanted to put this video together is just again to deal with, to address, and to dispel this silly notion that we are hearing from some Sabbatarian groups, some cults like the Seventh Day Adventists, who are trying to affirm that Charlie Kirk was a Sabbath keeper like them. As we already saw, there are times when he did work on the Sabbath, and again, he's not a legalist. He doesn't think this is for everybody. And if you're thinking who these guys are in the background, that's Lamb Chop there with the glasses. He thinks he's cool. He's the one sheep out of the 99 that went missing. And of course, we got his little buddy here. This is Willie. Willie, the Prince of Wales. I thought you'd like that. And before I leave you guys, I just want to mention my book, No King But Christ, The Collapse and Bankruptcy of Secular Worldviews. I deal with a lot of issues in this book that Charlie also had to deal with when he was with us. I also talk about in this book some of the ideologies and philosophies that led to the death of Charlie Kirk, the movements, the ideologies that try to censor speech, and that inevitably led to Charlie's passing. So, folks, I hope that you enjoyed this video, this assessment here on this question about Charlie Kirk and the Sabbath. It's a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I trust you enjoyed it. And also, again, that you subscribe to the channel, that you like the video, and that you share it as well. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care, and God bless you. Bye for now.